الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على حبيبنا محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه الغر المحجلين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا بما علمنا وفقهنا إذا جهلنا وزدنا علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا يا كريم. اللهم انفعنا، اللهم زدنا علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وتعالى وبركاته جميعا. So inshallah ta'ala we continue our bi-weekly session. Every 2 weeks we have a session, Q&A session, where it gives us all a chance to have a discussion about any questions that anybody has that they want to share, that they want to ask, which are beneficial. Not all questions are beneficial. And so we should always remember that. We should always remember that, right? When we ask questions to try and learn, ultimately the question, although all questions are open and welcome, but ultimately the questions that we should ask should really be those questions that will help us draw near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that help us in our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because really that's what it's all about. Right? This is not just an academic exercise. This is not about entertaining people. This is not about, it's not about that. It's about taking anything that will help us in our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to be intelligent with our questions. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, in his old age, he was asked a question about how he'd reached a level of knowledge. He was blind in his old age, but how he'd reached the level of knowledge that he'd attained and he'd reached to. He said, بِلِسَانٍ سَؤُولٍ وَقَلْبٍ عَقُولٍ. بِلِسَانٍ سَؤُولٍ وَقَلْبٍ عَقُولٍ. He reached that level of learning and of knowledge, he says, with lisan sa'ul, with a tongue that asks questions, وَقَلْبٍ عَقُول, and an intelligent, understanding mind. Ask the intelligent question. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will open up understandings. لَا تَسْأَلُوا عَنْ أَشْيَاءَ إِن تُبْدَ لَكُمْ تَسُؤْكُمْ. All those who believe, don't ask about those things which, if they're revealed to you, will make it difficult for you, make it hard for you. Don't ask about those things that are unnecessary. Don't ask about those things that don't really serve you and help you in your journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالسُّؤَال وَمِفْتَاحَ الْعِلْمِ. The question is the key that opens up doors of knowledge. So inshallah, before, there's a couple of questions that have come on. Before looking at those particular questions, perhaps a couple of more relevant questions, because this is, although the first question, mashallah, the best of all questions, but people asking about Hur al-Ain and people asking about Tariqah and so on, mashallah. It's all good. It's all good. Now, so a couple of people have asked the question over the next couple of days about prayer in the Masjid. Prayer in the Masjid, now that the Masjids are reopening. And particularly about praying in Jama'ah with gaps in between. Because that's a regulation that's going to be in place, except for one or two crazy imams like Imam Husnain in Nottingham, who's an imam you should all stay away from. If you ever come into contact with him, stay away from Husnain Yaqub. There he is, Husnain Yaqub. Dangerous imam. So the question there is about praying in Jama'ah and particularly about the sufuf. So the rows. So I just want to mention 2 points on that. Firstly, the Prophet ﷺ rarely emphasized taswiyat al-sufuf, straighten the rows, not having gaps, speaking about how Iblis moves in between the rows. If there are gaps in between the rows, and the gaps, shoulders, like, don't be fooled by people who have become so obsessed with the feet and tickling the toes of the man next to him. That's not the sunnah. The Prophet said, Hadu bayn al-manakib. He said, have your shoulders parallel to each other. That's sunnah mu'akkada. That's emphasized as sunnah. But as a whole, the fuqaha, the jurists, and we take our deen, or we take our understanding of rules of sharia from the fuqaha. We don't go directly to the ahadith. Don't be deluded. Like many people do that now. Sufyan ibn Uyayna, the great Imam of the Salaf, the great Imam of that generation, of the blessed generation, he said, Al-ahadith mudillatun illa lil-fuqaha. So the hadith will misguide everyone except for the people of knowledge. They're the ones who know how to maneuver and work their way through the ahadith. Imam al-Tirmidhi has a famous statement. Imam al-Tirmidhi, mashallah, students of Imam al-Bukhari, and Imam al-Tirmidhi is mujtahid in the science of hadith, of the highest level in the science of hadith himself. In one bab, in one section, and I think it's to do with washing the dead body, he lists certain hadith, then he mentions the opinion of the fuqaha, which is what he does. He does that, and he alone, out of the 6 imams of hadith, after every section, he brings the opinion of the fuqaha. Never mentions Bukhari, the fuqaha. But in there, what he says, when he speaks about this point, he says, وَالْفُقَهَاءُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَعَانِ الْحَدِيثِ. Imam al-Tirmidhi says the fuqaha are the most learned in understanding the meanings of hadith. So yes, there are hadith which clearly state no gaps between. Yet the Prophet ﷺ, when the Imams of guidance, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, and Ahmed, none of them said that if there's gaps in between, that it breaks your jama'ah or it breaks your prayer. None of them said that. None of them said that. People are saying that. None of them said that. The Imams who understood the sunnah of the Prophet, none of them said that. So it's a sunnah that you keep the rows together, that you have shoulders to shoulder. That's sunnah when you stand there. And there's so much great blessings and wisdoms within that. However, if there's a need to do so, such that gaps have to be there, it doesn't affect the validity of your prayer. Even if there's no reason, somebody doesn't want to stand next to you, standing like 2 meters away from you because it just doesn't like you, even then it doesn't break the prayer. It's makruh, it's disliked, but it doesn't break your prayer. And even like some masjids, I got a question today, some masjids are talking about having a gap of, so instead of like 1 row behind, but a gap of 1 row in between, so it'll be a row, then 1 row missing, then 1 row after. Even that doesn't break. Even if you're praying outdoors, it doesn't break. It's if you're praying outdoors in a public space, open space, and you have a gap of 2 more rows between the jama'ah, that breaks the prayer. But 1 row doesn't break it. So none of that breaks the prayer. So for the sake of safety, with the exceptions of the likes of Imam Husnain, for the sake of safety, but I'll tell you, Imam Husnain, you're talking about the thug life there. Be like Sayyidina Umar. Sayyidina Umar used to walk down the roads with his dirra, with his little stick. Anybody's back is out of place, he just pushes it back into place. So Sayyidina Umar would make sure the roads were straight. But that's not going to break the prayer. Praying Jama'ah. Somebody sent me a question today saying, is it better for me to pray at home, stood right next to my brother, or praying Jama'ah with gaps in the masjid? In the masjid. There's nothing like the prayer in the masjid. The answer, in the masjid. There's nothing like the prayer in the masjid. Allahu a'lam. That's the first point. The second point, or the second question I wanted to share before going on to some of the questions, and this is not a question, just something that occurred to me today, because there's been 2 of the sessions, so we had to push this session back to 9 o'clock. Normally it's 8:30 till I think 10. So inshallah ta'ala, in 2 weeks' time when we do the next Q&A session, it'll be back to 8:30. But it's going to clash with Maghrib. And so initially, what I suggested to Thaqib, who I liaised with over this session, I said, perhaps we can take a break, pray and then come back. But no, we're going to go all the way till 10 o'clock. And then inshallah ta'ala we'll stop. And this is just to learn something. Talab al-ilm fariḍah. The Prophet said, Talab al-ilm fariḍah. The Prophet said, learning knowledge is a fard. Praying maghrib as soon as the time comes in is not fard. It's not fard. It's mustahab. It's recommended. It's rewarded. But more important than praying maghrib as soon as the time comes on is that which means that you have to push it back slightly, is that you learn. And this is an opportunity for us to share some knowledge and to learn. So inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go all the way till 10 o'clock, and then after that, still in maghrib time, because right us think there is no really shit time anyway now, so nothing really to worry about. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Let's just go through some questions, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Bismillah. I like the first question because that's mashallah. What do you suggest reading to increase taqwa, fear of God in one's heart? If you're talking about reading, meaning a dua or a dhikr, the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. Oh Allah, give my nafs taqwa. How do you increase taqwa and fear of God in one's heart? Oh Allah, give my nafs its taqwa. Allahumma ati nufusana taqwaha. Allah, give our nufus, give our souls, give our hearts the taqwa. Wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha. And purify them because you're the best of those who purify them. Anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. Because you're its master and you're its protector. You're its master and you're its protector. So that's a dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then at the same time, you want to increase in your taqwa. Look at asbab al-taqwa. Look at, and essentially, what is taqwa? What is taqwa? Fear of God. What is that? Said, imtithal al-awamir wa ijtinab al-nawahi. Fulfill the obligation, stay away from prohibitions. That's taqwa. That's taqwa. So look at what you're doing in your life. Right? Try your utmost. Whatever stops you, whatever holds you back from fulfilling your obligation, deal with that. Whatever pushes you towards haram, deal with that. Right? If you realize that you sat around with some mates and they just backbite, so you end up backbiting. But then you got another group of friends, mashallah, they talk about Allah, they talk about Muhammad, deal with it. You got to deal with it. Right? It's your choice now. Now you keep on choosing to sit with those people who are backbiting all the time. Right? Deal with the asbab, make the dua and then deal with the causes. Deal with the causes. So look at those things that will help you to fulfill your obligation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that's ultimately what taqwa Allah ta'ala is about. Wallahu a'lam. Wait, just give me one moment. I'm just going to send a message. So, two people have asked about tariqah. Tariqah Shaykh Sa'id Ramadan al-Bulti, and who was his murshid, which tariqah does Shaykh Samir al-Nas follow? Shaykh Samir al-Nas is a Shaykh of the Qadiri tariqah. The Shaykh of the Qadiri tariqah, and he has murideen. Shaykh Sa'id Ramadan al-Bulti is different. I'm not sure but I was told that originally he had tariqah, but then he moved away from it. But even that, I'm not sure on. So Shaykh Sa'id Ramadan al-Bulti, rahimahullah ta'ala, was not a man who pushed tariqah. One time I asked, in fact it wasn't me, it was one of the brothers who was studying there at that time. He told me. He said that he asked Shaykh Tawfiq al-Bulti, who's the son of Shaykh Sa'id Ramadan, who's the closest to him, about tariqah, about shuyukh al-tariqah. And he said, and this answer ultimately came from his father, he said, those people of guidance, he said, they're in the graves. They've left this world. He said, if you can find a guide, he said, take me to. And that was more in line with Shaykh Sayyid Ramadan al-Balti's understanding that the true people of guidance don't really exist anymore. That's a view that's held by some, like the Murabatin, like Murabat al-Hajj and so on. That's their view as well. And that view should be understood and accepted. It's not a condition of Ahl Sunnah that you have a Shaykh of Tariqah. But what's mentioned is that you must be on the path of purification, Suhbah or Tariqah. Either keep the presence of the righteous or take the hand of a Shaykh of guidance. It's not a condition of Ahl Sunnah that you must be from the people of Tariqah. There's no such requirement. And if you do take Tariqah, make sure you take it from people who are known and reliable sources, because there's a lot of fakes out there. Make sure that you only take it from people who are known to be people of true guidance. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Hur al-Ain. Okay, what's this? Allah, there's a question about Hur al-Ain. I missed that. Who are the Hur al-Ain of Jannah, and are they limited to men who are virgins or married and martyred, or are they for married men also? If also for married men, what is the position of the married man's wife? She's the queen. She's the queen. The generally accepted understanding that's given, Hur al-Ain is for all men who enter into Jannah. So what are Hur al-Ain? Hur al-Ain are women of paradise, damsels of paradise, women that Allah created for men inside of Jannah as part of the reward for men. So they're not limited to unmarried, to martyrs and so on. They're also for married men. And if there's no monogamy inside of paradise. There is no such concept of monogamy. Like, it's not even in this world, even though women are trying their utmost to impose that upon men. There's no monogamy inside of paradise. Polygamy is the standard. So more than one. The same inside of Jannah. And Jannah, it's unlimited. In Jannah, it's unlimited. So married men, the same. And even though like, the way it is now in the world, because the dominance of too scared to speak about that, we should not do inkar. We should not reject something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed. We should not reject it. So even though many men will talk about it, like bravely talk about it when the wives are nowhere near them and they're scared to speak about it in front of their wives, nobody should ever reject something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed, whether in terms of this world or in terms of the next world. Just because women feel uncomfortable about it, the idea, just because society has now moved away from and is trying to make monogamy the norm rather than polygamy, don't start twisting nusus. Don't start twisting the text of Sharia, of the Quran and Sunnah. Just accept that men are now weak. Men are weak now. Women have taken control over matters now. And so men can't even think about that. But don't then start changing Quran. Don't then start changing Sunnah, that only in times of war is polygamy allowed, and it was only for certain circumstances. So none of that. We should be careful. We should be careful when we start coming and claiming false understandings of the Quran. Allahu a'lam. Michio, mashallah, wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have some love of some dunya, which is not haram, that was carried over from before I became Muslim, even from my childhood. How can I best control this? Depends on what that dunya is. Like, man harrama zinat Allah. Now, you can't say an attachment to these things are haram. Say it's not the best. It's not the best. It's not the highest standard, but it's not haram. best way to deal with it, just whenever you engage in whatever that is, ushkur rabbak, just be thankful to your Lord. Just be thankful to your Lord that He's given someone that dunya. And if that dunya is something that's replicated in the akhirah, just take that as a namudhaj. Allah's just giving you something of this in this world, but وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got something far greater in store for you in the next one. But this is just a little taster of what's to come in that world. Wallahu a'lam. Oh, that dua. Inshallah. I'll keep on promising that one. I'll get it to you. I don't, the book's over there, but I don't want to move away. And Surah Al-Fatiha uses shifa for many, or even every physical and mental, spiritual afflictions. For Mitchell, just on the second point, have you tagged me onto, if you've got me on Facebook, send me a message. I'm on Facebook, Haroon Hanif. I'm on Facebook, send me a message, and I'll share it there, inshallah. The dua for clearing debt. Surah Al-Fatiha uses shifa for many or even every physical and mental spiritual affliction, and if so, is recited with intention shifa enough for this practice? No, yeah. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ وَأَنَّهَا نعم أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ. The Prophet told the Sahaba, and what made you know that it was a ruqya, it was a medicine? Because they come across this tribe, a group of Sahaba, and one of them, he's affected, he's gone crazy. So he reads Surah Al-Fatiha over to him and he's healed. So yes, Surah Al-Fatiha it's an affliction for all types. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ. We reveal in the Quran medicines and healings. The Prophet said, عَلَيْكُمْ بِشِفَاءَيْن الْقُرْآنِ وَالْعَسَلِ. The Prophet said, you must take the two medicines, the Quran and honey. The Quran and honey. So there's no doubt that the Quran is shifa. The whole of the Quran is a healing. Surah Al-Fatiha itself is a healing. But they said, why is it when the Sahabi read it, that person is healed immediately? So because he had yaqeen in Al-Fatiha. He had certainty in Al-Fatiha. It's to do with the state of the heart of the reciter. He must have certainty in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, absolute yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will heal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will heal because shafi hu Allah, because the healer is Allah subhanahu. So yes, Surah Al-Fatiha can be read as a healing and as a cure for any sickness. Allahumma salli alayhi. How do you do istikhara for marriage? At what point do you do it? Are you before meeting, first time, etc.? What signs will you look out for? How do you know if it's right or wrong? What information do you need from potential spouse before doing it? We need to do a whole course on that. Are we going to do a course on that? We need to do it. I've done that a few years back. We need to do a whole course just on that. Marhaba. Istikhara is recommended for everything, every decision in your life, every decision that you need of consequence in your life. Istikhara is recommended. Istishara thumma istikhara. Consult people, then consult Allah subhanahu. That should be the tartib, that should be the sequence. So there, the question when you said before your first meeting, first or second meeting or no meeting doesn't make a difference. You meet that girl, you're not going to know anything about her. She meets you, she's not going to know anything about you. You meet people who know her, you'll get to know a lot about her. Right? People are doing it all wrong now. Spend time meeting the girl, you're just dating each other, you're just going out with each other. You're not really meeting each other. You're not getting to know each other, you're just dating, that's all you're doing. You want to know about her, you need to start inquiring, you need to start digging around. You need to start finding out people who know them and start making inquiries. Once you've done that, then turn to Allah, and you're still happy, like people come back saying, good family, she's a decent person and so on. not you. Like she's just going to sit there, just like fluttering her eyelids at you, and like just trying to impress you as much as possible. You're not going to know anything from each other that way. So find out as much as you can about her. Turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. See how your heart feels about it. You may see some dreams in Shirah al-Sadr. See how your heart feels towards it. Then inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Part of your dua of istikhara, you make a dua. اللهم إن كان هذا الزواج خيرا لي في ديني ومعاشي وعاقبة أمري وعاجله وآجله فاقدره لي. So if you make a dua, Allah, if this is good for me, then decree for it to happen to me, for me. وَيَسِّرْهُ لِي ثُمَّ بَارِكْ لِي فِيهِ. Make it easy for me and put blessings in it for me. So وَإِنْ كَانَ شَرًّا لِي فَاصْرِفْهُ عَنِّي وَاصْرِفْنِي عَنْهُ وَاقْدُرْ لِي الْخَيْرَ حَيْثُ كَانَ ثُمَّ رَدِّنِي بِهِ. But if it's bad for me, turn it away from me, and turn me away from it, and decree for me good wherever it may be. You've actually asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it's meant to be, then let it be. If it's not, then just turn it away from it. That's how you're going to find out. That's how you're going to know. Wallahu a'lam. Ameen, ameen. Wa alayhi salam. So may Allah, ameen. The ayah you mentioned earlier in tafsir, Surah Al-Isra, wa qara'at al-Quran, is it true that it's written and put in a house that it protects from jinn? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Inshallah, I'll make inquiries about that. So inshallah, next either tafsir classes, so I'll ask that question again. I'll make inquiries about that. How do you ask intelligent questions? Often we ask whatever comes to our mind, but we struggle with the articulation, or it may just be important to the person asking it. Articulation is not the real thing. Eventually, you can get your points across. The intelligent question is really the question that you need to know the answer to. That's the intelligent question. The intelligent question is the question that you need to know the answer to. So yes, it may just be important to the person asking, so therefore it's an intelligent question. It's a question that you need, and it could be just something that you're facing in that particular moment. It could be somebody who's studying a particular, you're studying tafsir al-Quran, and so at that moment, that's the relevant thing for you that you need to know about to understand the ayah. That's the intelligent question. Hypotheticals, except for in certain areas, they're the ones that people should stay away from. Husnain, you're the dodgy Maulvi. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Adam, what's the Islamic position on parallel universes? Parallel universes, the Prophet traveled out of this universe and he told us there's 7 of them. Scientists are theorizing about this. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went there, saw it, came back, told us, end off. So parallel universes, sab'a samawat. And we speak of 7 skies, 7 universes, but encircling this realm of existence, each one far vaster, beyond our comprehension. Like even the universe itself, right? It's mind-boggling. Like the human mind cannot conceive of how vast the lowest universe. Then you got all the rest after, and then after that you got the Arsh and the Kursi and the Arsh, and then beyond that, we've got no frame of reference just for the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Parallel universes, the Prophet told us there's 7 universes. Believe in that. Don't believe the scientists. Believe in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jamila Mughal wa alaykum salam. Number 1, I would like some guidance in order to strengthen spirituality. You want to strengthen your spirituality? Fulfill your obligations. Make sure that you're fulfilling your obligations. Prioritize your prayer over everything in your life. Prioritize your prayer over everything in your life. When it comes for your time to fulfill your obligation, make sure you do that. Have a connection to the Quran. You want to strengthen your spirituality? Have a connection to the Quran. Make sure that you have a wird of salawat, of Durood Sharif every single day. Make sure you have that. And if you want as a general thing, this is what we've taken from our teacher, Shaykh Samir al-Nas, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala. It may be, and in fact it's not. He said 1 juz a day, 1,000 salawat a day. 1 juz a day, 1,000 salawat a day. He said that's a standard. And when he gives tariqah to someone, that's the word that he gives them. 1 juz a day, 1,000 salawat every single day. That's your requirement. And that's not a lot. It may be a lot at the beginning. It's not a lot. Push yourself. Strengthen, and make sure that you're avoiding haram. Haram is so damaging to the spiritual journey. So make sure you're a person of prayer, person of Quran, dhikr and salawat. Try your utmost to break the tongue, haram, the gaze. Worldly fears. Understand the nature of this world and understand the nature of your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this world, I mean, this is just waswasa of shaitan, it's the nafs and so on. It's our inclination. But the world is worthless. It has no value whatsoever. How do you want to overcome worldly fears? Understand that the one who should be more beloved to you than anybody else, salawatu rabbi wa salamu alayhi, he hated this world. He shunned this world. He refused it. Now, when you start seeing the world for what it is, then it doesn't mean anything. It'll come to you. Because then at that point, it comes running after you. Instead of you running after it, it comes running after you. And the Prophet was offered the whole of this world. He refused it. So understand the nature of this world. And make this dua of the Prophet Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbara hammina. O Allah, do not make this world our greatest concern. Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbara hammina. There's a longer part to this dua, but that's the beginning. Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbara hammina. Adnan, mashallah, please can you advise regarding Jum'ah as mosque capacity is reduced? You missed the beginning. We mentioned that at the beginning. We may come back to that because there's quite a few. Hello, Dr. Javid. I know I was expecting that from you, this question. But it's worth mentioning this. A lot of Muslims share funny videos of people pretending to pray or making a dua as part of some joke. At what point do we cross the line, and what about if we share these videos? Jazakallahu khairan. I'll answer within the Quran. قل أبالله وآياته ورسوله كنتم تستهزئون. Say. So this ayah, Surah Tawbah, is about munafiqeen, hypocrites used to mock and ridicule. Allah says to them, say, is it that Allah and His Messenger and His books that you're mocking? لا تعتذروا. Don't make any excuses. قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم. You fall into kufr after you had iman. Mocking anything that's a recognized symbol of this religion. It's recognized as part of this religion. However small in the wider scale it may be, a person's fallen into kufr. The Quran is sarih, the Quran is clear about that. So there's like these, Hassan Minaj, he's put up this video where he's a comedian, so comedian gives you a license to do it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't give you a license to mock. And people are defending, saying it's only a joke, it's only meant to joke. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, are you joking about these things? Like, there are certain things you don't joke about. And your religion, if you understand that your religion is you and it's more precious to you than anything else, you're not going to let anybody joke about these things. But I think you mentioned this last time, that we just become, our lives are just like, we're just all jokers, we're just all comedians, and that's all it is. That's all it is. And as we said previously, like even teachers and shuyukh and so on, they've got to do that just to engage with people, because people are not willing to raise themselves up and become people of worth and seriousness. So the sheikh's got to come down to the level of fools. That's where it's got to now. And we just want our religion to be funny and engaging and just like comedy and so on. Now, there is a clear line that's got to be drawn. And yes, and people should be careful not to share those type of things. Like somebody's like, don't make an excuse that he's a comedian. That's his job. You can be a comedian about anything, but don't start like dua. Like at what point are you going to stop them? You're going to start making jokes about the Prophet. You're going to start making jokes about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At what point are you going to stop? You're going to make jokes about the Quran. قَدْ كَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. So be careful about these things. Like, this is your religion. And you are your religion. You are your deen. So be careful. Be deadly careful about that. When somebody starts joking about these type of things, then they may well fall into kufr because of that. And the fuqaha stated that. And the jurists, they stated that. Like mocking and joking anything of religion is kufr. Wallahu a'lam. From the tafsir session, how did Abu Lahab die? We're going to come on to that again, but they said he died, and I've been looking around for the term. I think it's called pustules. In Arabic, it's called al-adas. It's a type of boils that a person has all over their bodies. That's what he died of. A disease called pustules, called in Arabic al-adas. That's what he died from. But we're going to touch upon that in next week's session. Assalamu alaikum. On your initial point of intelligent questions, one intention that I've prioritized over the past few months is increasing understanding and personal cognition, thereby aiding me in becoming a better student and Muslim. Is there anything that you can recommend in augmenting this aim? You want to increase your intelligence? Read more Quran. Inna anzalnahu Qur'anan Arabiyyan la'allakum ta'qilun. Read more Quran. Your mind will open. Because when you're talking about intelligence, we're not talking about academic intelligence that you can pass an exam. We're talking about spiritual intelligence. So read more Quran. Avoid haram. Your mind will open. The spiritual mind. That's what when you come to the Quran, the anwar of the Quran. That's what's opening up there. It's that mind that you want to open up, not the academic mind that can analyze any book of knowledge and come up with all these understandings, but it's from him and it's not from Allah or his messenger. That's not the mind that you want to open up, the spiritual mind. فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. It's not the sight that goes blind, but it's the sight and it's the eye of the heart that goes blind. Wallahu a'lam. Stay away from sin. That's what, and a famous story about Imam Shafi, he loses the ability to memorize because by accident he sees the shin of a woman. So his teacher Waki' فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي وأخبرني بأن العلم نور ونور الله لا يهدى لعاصي. He told me to stop committing sin. Like when Imam Shafi complained to his teacher Waki' that he's lost his memory, he can't memorize anymore. He said, شكوت إلى وكيع سوء حفظي. I complained to Waki' about the weakness of my memory. فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. So he guided me إلى ترك المعاصي, to stop sinning. وأخبرني بأن العلم نور ونور الله لا يهدى لعاصي. And he informed me that knowledge is light and the light of Allah is not gifted to the sinner. So you understand the intelligent question, you want to become a better student and a better Muslim, stop committing sin. Then Allah says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Fear Allah and Allah will teach you. Where does the saying come from? Those who have no shaykh, the shaykh is shaitan. That's ascribed to Imam Shafi and other Imams, but that doesn't necessarily mean Shaykh al-Tariqah. If that's the reason for explaining that. People say that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It's not limited to that. It's a Shaykh of guidance in a general sense. A Shaykh who guides you in a general sense. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. That's name behave yourselves. Leave peer out of it. Allahumma salli. Is okay. So I'm just partly let it be known, partly because they're not. Like, is there a specific dua or anything that can be read for severe hair loss from the head? I'm just thinking, is that you, Dr. Javed, asking that question? Well, the answer, I don't know. I don't know. There may well be, I don't know. After Khar, can a widow leave the house during the period in emergencies? Emergencies, yes. But emergency has to be some real difficulty. What's not an emergency is to receive condolences. So instead of being at home, as she goes out to a center and start receiving, that's not an emergency. To receive condolences, that's not an emergency. To go and visit the grave, that's not an emergency. If she's slightly older, now where it potentially could be, and this is something that's spoken of by the fuqaha, they said if she's working and she has nobody to provide for her, then she's allowed to go to work and return back after work and not stay and not linger beyond that period of time. Wallahu a'lam. طيب. La ilaha illa ant. Asma, we'll discuss that in class. If you want to raise that in class. But the answer, that's fine, because that's what we say, it's relevant to that particular point of study. So there the hypotheticals do become important. What are the virtues of reading Surah Yasin in the morning? Surah Yasin is qalb al-Quran. It's the heart of the Quran. Every single morning you take a wash when you wake up. You wash yourself, your body. Wash your heart every morning. Wash your heart every morning before you start the day. Surah Yasin also is a strengthener of the heart. It gives you strength within the heart. It strengthens your iman. So make sure that you make a point of reading Surah Yasin every single day, so it gives you that strength and a purification of the heart. Wallahu a'lam. Is there any evidence in the Quran or Hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was nur? To answer the question, it depends what you mean by him being nur. What you actually mean by that. If you mean that he's nur but he's not bashar, then that's not the belief. He's light but he's not human. That's not the belief. If you mean that he's human but no light, then that's also not correct. The two emerged. Allah's created him as a human, and you must believe that. And within that, he's placed within that actual physical lights. He's placed within that. But even if you don't believe that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is an actual physical light, it's not an essential point of faith. It will not take you out of Ahl Sunnah, even though there's a lot of Sunnis now who go crazy over that. It's not an essential point of faith. It's not even an essential point of Ahl Sunnah. Physical light within the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are general statements that speak about قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. So some will say that nur here is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There has come to you a light and a clear book. قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. A light and a clear book. A light, and it said وَاوْ لِلْمُغَايَرَةِ. Al-waw al-mughayra. Waw means two different things, so the light is different to the book. Although many of the Mufassirin said the light here is the Quran itself, so the Quran comes to explain what that light is. So it's not that dalil itself is not categorical. It's not clear cut. So yes, many will believe that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a human. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created within him a physical light. And there are certain ayat in the Quran, there are certain hadith, like when the Prophet was born, a light was shining out from her with the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's sound hadith. So there are references to a light in relation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If somebody believes that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a human who had physical light within him, created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that's fine to believe. If somebody says no, he's a human being, he's uniquely different, you must believe in that unique difference. You must believe that that's an essential part of your faith. Physical, nothing beyond and the light he's referenced to his guidance on. That's what our Mashaykh, they mentioned that that's not an essential part of our faith. That's not an essential part of our belief in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have a couple of minutes left. If people die as unbelievers, but they were good, will they have some relief in the hellfire like Abu Lahab? Can you make dua that you hope they died as a believer? On the two separate points, and they're interesting points. Goodness, the general view is that the good deeds of a believer are repaid in this world. That's the general view. Goodness of an unbeliever received it back in this world. But this clearly references the levels of punishment inside the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَصَدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ زِدْنَاهُمْ عَذَابًا فَوْقَ الْعَذَابِ. Truly those who disbelieved and blocked people, and they hindered and turned people away from the path of Allah. Not just kafir, they forced or they turned people away. Allah says we will increase them with the punishments above the punishment, levels of punishment. One, because they're kufr, and the second, because they stopped other people coming into Islam. So there may well be relief inside of hellfire for people, unbelievers who did goodness inside of this world. Can you make dua that you hope they died as a believer? The first thing to on that point, we cannot know for certain if anybody's died as an unbeliever. We cannot know for certain. And Zayd min or John min al-Nas, like John down the road, they've lived all his life as a kafir. Like you don't know. You don't know at that last moment before he died, whether he died as an unbeliever or not. Something could have happened. So we cannot have certainty about anybody. That he definitely died in a state of kufr, except for those that we know, for Abu Lahab being one, say Asla Naran Dhata Lahab, Abu Jahl being another. But still with that, that's hukmuhu baynahu wa bayn Allah. That's between him and Allah. As for us, all we can see is that he didn't die as a believer, so we treat that person as somebody died as an unbeliever. So that's how we should deal with it. Treat that person as somebody who's died as an unbeliever, and then after that, amruhu ila Allah. His affair is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Saraj Yasin wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan for attending these. So regarding the true nature and meaning of Ghilman and Wildan and Mukhalladun in Jannah, so usually translated as young boys, with non-Muslims claiming that this is what has been less sexual in nature. Use it to attack Islam, cause fitna. Yeah. Yani the thing here, Siraj, the thing here, just because somebody's not a Muslim, he's going to start attacking us. Start attacking us because of certain ideas that are there. That doesn't change how we should understand these. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ghilman, He says, Wildanu mukhalladun, like immortal young boys and so on. If they start wanting to start putting some twist on it, some perverted twist on it, then that's their business. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Wildanu mukhalladun. Now what are we now going to say? We're now going to say it means something different to that because some non-Muslims are coming and attacking us and saying that's perverted. So now we're going to start changing our religion because the attack of non-Muslims. Wildanu mukhalladun is Wildanu mukhalladun. Immortal boys inside who are servants who will come and serve. Yutafu alayhim bi ka'sin. They come and bring for them drinks and so on. To stop perverting that. Have some izzah in your deen. I'm Siraj, I'm not talking to you. I'm saying have some izzah in your deen. Have some honor in your deen. Doesn't matter what that kafir is going to have. If he's perverted, so he starts seeing perversion within that, then that's his business. Allahu A'lam. So I don't know. I mean, in truth, for me personally, for non-Muslim, my approach, non-Muslim wants to start, even if it comes to me, start saying, no, I don't accept that, then what am I going to do? What am I going to do? If you don't, he says, I find that weird and strange, then not my business. If you find it strange, that's your problem, not my problem. I believe in the Quran in its entirety. Somebody said, so just accept that and don't start feeling weakened because some non-Muslims are going to start complaining about Allahu A'lam. Allah. Yeah, okay, I'll just give a second. I want to answer this last one. Apologies, inshallah, later I'm going to extend these into longer sessions because there's always a lot more that we can get through in one session. But I want to answer this. This walad he is messing me about. Does the believing mother, Christian, non-Muslim, not Muslim, who has lost to a child go to Jannah? Believing mother, when we say believing mother, we mean believe in Allah and His Messenger. Believing in any other faith is not a believing mother. So when we speak about, because Allah subhanahu is clear in the Quran, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةِ. Whoever commits shirk with Allah, Allah's made haram for him Jannah. And the Prophet, and that's in the context of Christians, Trinitarian Christians, that verse. So if they're believing in Christianity, they're not believers. They're not believers in Allah and His Messenger. So it doesn't matter what deed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a criteria, a requirement for Jannah. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Nothing else will work. So she's lost a child, but that doesn't open up Jannah. The belief is the first thing. Yes, you're right. Not just Muslim mothers, Muslim parents, Muslim father and mother. That's a guarantee for Jannah, but it's a guarantee for Jannah because they're believers. And because they're believers in Allah and His Messenger. Anybody says that Christians are believer, false belief. Jews are believer, false belief. The Prophet said in an authentic hadith, it's in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, any Jew or Christian who hears about me and does not believe me, hellfire is his place. How do you deal with knowing that an unbeliever is really good to you and a good person is damned to hellfire eternally? It's the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On these points, and this is something I mentioned to students, don't personalize points of belief. Don't make it personal. Like years back, a student, and we discussed our parents who are unbelievers not going into it. She broke down in class. I said, don't personalize it. Like, belief is not about your personal experience. It's not about your personal experience. So that person's been beautiful to you. So how can I cope with the fact that it's not about your personal emotions or feelings and so on. It's about Allah and His Messenger. It's about Allah and His Messenger. So if that person died as an unbeliever and rejected, You can say that Aisha man raised that question with the Prophet, but didn't believe in Allah and His Messenger. And that's the hukm of Allah. And we should be absolutely clear on that. Should be absolutely clear on that. It's not about, I love my neighbor, great persons, led a good life, and so on. So they've been good to you. It's been good to you, yes. But Jannah is not just about being good to you, it's about being good to Allah. You, yeah, but Allah. They're good to you, but they're not recognize Allah, and they're going to go into Jannah. It's Jannah to Allah. It's the paradise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Wallahu a'lam. My apologies, we want to go on a lot longer, but inshallah we're going to finish with that. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah in 2 weeks' time, we have another session. So any questions that have not been answered today, if you want to send them through. Next time in 2 weeks' time, we'll have it again at 8:30. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.